Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here, and today's shout out goes to Rickik. He was first to say first in one of my recent videos and thus wins this shout out, so congratulations. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here with a review of the new JJRC X6 AIRCUS. That's its name, AIRCUS. What is the AIRCUS? It is a new brushless motor drone. As you can see here, a lot of people like brushless motors because there's less chance of failure of the motors as opposed to a brushed motor drone. But what's special about it is it does have a 2-axis gimbal along with a 1080p camera that records video to a, let's show it here, micro SD card slot. So, right there. So, it records to micro SD, which is cool. Okay, again, I mentioned it's GPS drone, so it'll return to home on loss of signal and on command. And with low voltage, it does what it does is, I've flown this yesterday already. I figured I discovered that on low voltage, this will return to home at about 20%, 25% voltage. What it does is it brings the drone in within 20 meters of your position. Then you can fly it at that position. Then when it gets down to about 15 to 10% of voltage left, it'll bring the drone even closer into 10 meters, and then when it says that this battery needs to land or else it's going to get damaged, then it'll land itself wherever it's at within that 10-meter circle. It does not return to home and land on its takeoff point, but it will land within 10 meters of its takeoff point on final depletion of the battery. Let's see, I mentioned brushless. The thing about the propellers screw on, okay? They go on very easily. This is taking them off, but they screw on in the opposite direction, like so. And with that in mind, you only get 2 spare propellers. You get an A and B propeller for the clockwise and counterclockwise motors. But I wish they would have sent the full set, but you get 2, okay? But, however, while flying yesterday, you see one of the problems I have with drones of this design is that a lot of the toy drones with GPS, when they would land, because of the high center of gravity, these would tip over. I did not see that with this. I was flying this on a very windy day yesterday, and it was coming down, and at the final point of landing, it would land smoothly. So I was impressed with that. So there's not much of a chance for it to tip over. For me, it happened. It occurred. I'm sure somebody's going to tip one of these over. But that's where you would damage a propeller, folks. That's why they provide these propellers. But I did not see that with this drone yesterday in the wind. And you'll see that in the follow-on video of it. What else do you get in the package? Oh, I forgot to mention the battery of this is a 7.6 volt LiHV battery, 3,000 milliampere hour. Pretty hefty battery. It's supposed to give this thing up to about 20 minutes of flight time in pure hover. However, you're flying around, or especially if you're flying around on a windy day, expect less time than that, because the drone is going to have to fight that wind. And the drag and the wind, so that is going to greatly reduce flight time if you're flying on windy days with this, or not in hover. But I did notice this has 2 rates, okay, beginner and expert. In beginner rate, this is very slow, gentle flyer, but you put this in expert, this thing books. This is a fast little drone, so keep that in mind, folks. So you'll be surprised how fast this little thing can go, or fast this little thing can move. And it surprised me. So let's go what you get in the box. You get the drone, you get its battery, the camera. The camera easily attaches on the bottom here. It just clips in and then rotates into place. The gimbal and camera attachment. So you can disassemble this if you wish. But I wouldn't do that because this comes assembled, okay, with the exception of the propellers and attachment of the camera. So you get the drone, you get the JJRC TST GPS app, which gives you, the JJRC TST app gives you the ability to fly this in with follow me, circle me, and waypoints flying. No, I could not get waypoints working yesterday either, but follow me and circle me worked well with the drone. So keep that in mind. You get the full instruction manual, you get a charging cable for the battery. I forgot to mention the battery does charge through a little micro USB port, or am I saying that right? Yeah, micro USB cable port right there. So you can use just about any micro USB cable. I recommend using a 2-amp wall charger to charge this big battery. Don't try to charge this in your laptop's USB port. It'll take all day if you do that. Use a phone wall charger with about 2-amp power at minimum to charge that, and you'll be able to charge that in a reasonable amount of time. And even with a 2-amp, it took about 2 hours to charge that for me. So keep that in mind also. Let's see. Let's go over the controller. The controller it's well labeled, but I still applied my labels to make sure that I know what they meant. Because you see this one here looks like a house. I thought that was return to home. That's actually altitude hold, if you put it there. Center position is GPS, and the return to home is the one on the right. So if you switch to the right, that is the return to home switch, where the drone will return to home and land at its takeoff point automatically. We do have headless mode here. This is your rates button if you want to go into beginner and expert. Mine was already set to expert when I took off. That surprised me. But you can switch back and forth rates here. Now this does have a geofence of 200 meters. It won't allow by default, won't allow the drone to fly further than 200 meters away from your position. I think the intent is to make sure that this stays within Wi-Fi FPV range. You can turn that off though if you want to go outside of Wi-Fi FPV range. By holding down this button, that will turn off the geofence and allow the drone to fly further. But this little thing going further than 200 meters, I had a hard time seeing it at that point. So it is going to be very hard to fly this line of sight outside of Wi-Fi range greater than 200 meters. So you might want to keep that turned on for this little drone. The on-off switch is here. Now with the gimbal, it's 2-axis stabilized gimbal, but it also has up-down control of that gimbal through these 2 buttons here. This will point the camera lens downward, and this will point the camera lens upward if you wish to view, down at the ground or up at the sky. So you can do it with that. Buttons on the back. This button here is for starting and stopping the video camera, and this button here is for taking a photo. And the sticks controls, you got throttle, yaw, pitch, and roll. And for arming the motors, you bring both sticks down inboard. That will start the motors, and to stop the motors, you just land it and hold it down like that. It also has automatic takeoff and automatic landing. Once you arm the motors, you have to arm the motors first by going like that, and then you can press this button and the drone will automatically take off and hover. And also for compass calibration, to do a compass calibration, you move this stick down to the left and this stick up and to the right, and then you can do the 3 horizontal turns and 3 vertical turns to complete the compass calibration. Very important thing to do for all GPS drones. So that's the JJRC X6. Let's take it out in the field, which I already did yesterday, and see how it flies. So hope you enjoy this flight. Good morning, Quadcopter 101 here. We are out at one of my favorite flying fields with the JJRC X6 with its 2-axis gimbal. This is going to be interesting, folks. We're ready to go, actually. Let's turn on the controller, making sure that we are in GPS mode before we do turn it on. Controller is on, and then turning on the drone by holding down this back button here. Notice as it turns on that this front gimbal here levels itself automatically in its position. Okay, we are connected. Now the first thing we're going to need to do, you heard that 2 beeps, that tells us we're connected. But the first thing we need to do is the compass calibration. And to do that, to start the compass calibration, this stick goes down and to the left and this stick up and to the right until we hear that beep. And compass calibration has started. Lifting up the drone, we notice that the front lights are blue and the black lights are off. And what we need to do in this case right now is, rotate horizontally until you hear the beep. Now the back lights are green. And in this case, we need to raise up the drone, hold it like such, and I'm just going to do it like this because I don't want to mess up a gimbal while we're going around. They're staying okay, and now the front lights are blue, back lights are blinking green. We are ready to go. Okay, putting the drone back on the pad and making sure that the gimbal is nice and level. Now I am going to open up the app, I'm going to connect to the Wi-Fi first and then open up the app. So hold on, folks. Okay, this is a JJRC TST app available on Google Play and iTunes, and we are ready to go. First thing I'm going to do is start the video recording by hitting the record button in the back here. And video is recording, and we should be good to go. So I'm going to arm the motors. Motors are armed, so we should be good. Let me see, double check everything here. And you know what? Okay, 7 meters away, 8 meters away, it's drifted. I'm not sure I really have sufficient satellites to fly. Hold on. We got it on GPS mode. There's a wind picking up. It's holding its position now there. Okay, I got 14 satellites. Let's come back over here. I'm just surprised that it drifted that much. Now again, I got a wind coming from that direction there. It's not drifting in the wind anymore, so we're good to go. I'm going to take that as a good to go. Whoa, this is a fast drone. We're going to go out. And we're going to see how far we can go and maintain FPV. That's a fast little drone. Now what I like about this drone, in addition to its 2-axis gimbal, is that it's small. Okay, it's not a huge drone at all. So it's somewhat less intrusive than most drones that you see with GPS and brushless motors. Okay, we're 153 meters, going up a little bit more, 170 meters, 180 meters. We still have FPV. I'm going to stop it there at 200 meters. Well, actually, that's its geofence. The geofence is turned on, and I'm not going to turn off the geofence. But from that position there, let's hit the return to home. Okay, geofence, that's the rates. Return to home button is... Actually, I want to rotate first while we're there. See if we can maintain FPV signal out there at 200 meters. We can. Now, keep in mind, I can turn off the geofence, but I'm not going to do that, folks. This little drone is really meant for flying in close. It's not, because of its size, you really can't fly much farther than 200 meters because you lose sight of it. Okay, but I'm going to hit the return to home button right now. Turn to home is activated, and I want to put my glasses on so I can watch this on the way back. But yeah, if I went any further than 200 meters, I can barely see it right now. It's good thing going for it is it's a little white drone, and it's glinting white in the sun, but it is small. But it's coming back. And we'll see how accurate that return to home and landing is. And we're down to 59% battery power at this point. And I want it to come home because for the remainder of the flight I want to demonstrate its other advanced features. Here it comes. It doesn't come back as fast as it went on. I must have been in high rate there because it was moving. Okay, what altitude are we at on this return to home here? 30 meters up. And there it is up in the sky. Glinting. Doing its final approach to landing. We'll see how accurate it was, because it was drifting there in the beginning. I don't know why that was. It's probably I didn't have enough satellites. I didn't check. And our number of satellites shown here? Yeah, it is, in the upper right corner there. We'll find out in post-production here how many satellites I had before that takeoff. But here it comes down. As it comes down, it does go into a little bit of vortex ring state, but we got a little bit of a breeze here that's helping to mitigate that.